Have you ever felt completely out of place, even in your own family? That was me, standing there at my sister's wedding, feeling like I didn't belong. My name is Emma Walker, I'm 26, and I thought I knew my family. I thought we were close. But in one terrifyingly casual moment, my sister Lauren, my older sister by 2 years, always perfect, always the center of attention, made me feel like a stranger in my own life. She raised her glass, and in front of everyone, she said, to family. Even the ones who don't belong. But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates. The room erupted in laughter. I forced a smile. Everyone else was amused. Everyone else except me. I remember clutching the tablecloth, my knuckles white, my mind racing. Was she joking? Was this some cruel attempt at humor? And then she handed me a sealed envelope, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Open it later," she said, like it was nothing. Like I was just a prop in her perfect wedding day. I didn't open it that night. I couldn't. The laughter echoed in my ears as I slipped the envelope into my bag and tried to act normal. But the weight of it stayed with me. It wasn't just the words. It was the tone, the way she said it, like I had always been the wrong daughter. The funny part, the awkward part, the part no one wanted to talk about, it was also completely humiliating. And I kept asking myself why? Why would my sister do this to me? Months went by. The envelope stayed tucked away in my drawer, a constant presence, silently daring me to open it. Life went on, or at least I tried to make it. But then came the call from Mr. Henderson, the family attorney. His voice on the phone was calm but carried an undercurrent of something dangerous, something serious. "Emma, we need to see you at the office," he said. "It's about your family and you." When I arrived, my parents' faces were pale. Lauren wasn't there. And for the first time, I realized that the envelope wasn't a joke. Not really. Whatever was inside, it had the power to change everything. And as I sat in that office, waiting for answers, I couldn't shake the feeling that my entire life, the one I thought I knew, was about to be rewritten. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Weddings are supposed to be magical, right? A day full of love, laughter, and memories that last a lifetime. But mine became a nightmare disguised as a joke. I remember stepping into the grand ballroom of the hotel, the chandeliers sparkling above, the smell of fresh roses and expensive perfume thick in the air. Lauren, my sister, was glowing. 28, flawless, everyone's eyes on her, the bride who had always been perfect. And there I was, 26, trying not to fade into the background, trying not to let the humiliation of the night start too early. Everything was going smoothly. The vows, the music, the clinking of glasses until it happened. Lauren, standing tall and radiant in her white gown, raised her champagne flute. To family, she began, her voice ringing through the room, even the ones who don't belong. The laughter started almost immediately. Some guests chuckled awkwardly, others leaned into it, delighted by the audacity. And then she turned to me and handed me a thick, sealed envelope. "Open it later," she said, her tone playful, but there was a glint in her eyes that made my stomach twist. I remember the envelope feeling heavy in my hands, almost ominous. The paper was pristine, crisp, and the handwriting on the front was unmistakably Lauren's, sharp, elegant, deliberate. My heart raced. Was it a harmless joke? A funny note? Or something worse? I couldn't tell. And while the room erupted with laughter around me, I felt frozen, humiliated in front of everyone I loved. The weight of her words, the ones who don't belong, pressed down harder than any wedding dress could. After the toast, I tried to push it aside, to laugh along with the guests, but every time I caught Lauren's eye, I saw that mischievous smile, the one that had haunted me since childhood. Growing up, Lauren had always been the center of attention. Straight A's, cheer captain, everyone's favorite. And me? I was the shadow, the quieter one, the one who just existed. Now her joke, her envelope, felt like a spotlight thrown on everything I had spent my life hiding. I tucked the envelope into my bag, careful not to let anyone see it. But even as I danced and smiled, my mind kept racing. What was inside? Was it funny? Was it cruel? And most importantly, would opening it change everything? I had no idea that this small, white envelope, handed to me in a moment of laughter, would be the first domino in a chain of events that would shake my entire life. Because what I didn't know then was that the envelope wasn't a joke. It was a warning. For months, that envelope haunted me. I couldn't touch it, couldn't think about it without a knot forming in my stomach. Every time I saw Lauren, I felt a mix of curiosity and dread. Was she testing me? Taunting me? Or did she know something I didn't? It wasn't just the envelope itself. It was the way she smiled when she mentioned it, like she held a secret that only she could enjoy. And as time passed, the joke stopped feeling funny. It started feeling like a warning. I tried to bury it in my routine. Work, friends, long nights scrolling through meaningless distractions, anything to avoid thinking about the wedding, the toast, the envelope. But life has a way of making sure secrets don't stay hidden. Small things started piling up, my parents whispering in hushed tones, catching Lauren giving me knowing glances, even strange phone calls that I couldn't place. Every minor detail felt like a clue, like someone was pushing me closer to discovering something I wasn't ready for. I kept imagining what could be inside the envelope. Was it a letter? Old family documents? A photo that would explain the weird tension I'd always felt around Lauren? My mind spiraled through endless possibilities. Some were ridiculous, a lost lottery ticket, a prank from my sister. Others were terrifying, a secret I had no idea about, a truth my parents had hidden for years. The unknown ate at me, day and night. Then came the call. Mr. Henderson, the family attorney, a man I had only met formally a handful of times, called me personally. "Emma, we need to see you at the office. It's about your family. And it's urgent." The calmness in his voice, the careful weight of each word, sent a chill through me. "Urgent," he said. Not a social visit. Not a simple legal matter. Urgent. My heart raced, and for the first time, I realized that the envelope might not have been a joke at all. When I arrived at his office, the scene was stranger than anything I could have imagined. My parents were pale, hands clasped tightly together. Their eyes avoided mine, darting nervously around the room. Lauren wasn't there. Silence hung thickly in the air, broken only by the faint hum of the air conditioning. And I just knew, that whatever was coming, it was going to change everything I thought I knew about my family. Because that envelope? It wasn't just paper and ink. It was a door. A door into secrets that no one had been ready to reveal. And once it opened, nothing would ever be the same. The moment I stepped into Mr. Henderson's office, the air felt heavier than usual. Leather chairs, polished mahogany desk, and the faint scent of old paper and expensive cologne, it all screamed seriousness. My parents, Margaret and Daniel, sat on either side of me, hands tightly clasped, eyes pale and wide. I could tell they were terrified, though I didn't yet understand why. Lauren wasn't there, and for the first time, I realized just how alone I was in this moment. Mr. Henderson cleared his throat, his voice steady but grave. "Emma, what I'm about to tell you, it will be a lot to take in. But you need to know the truth." My stomach sank. I had been anxious for months, imagining every scenario. But nothing could have prepared me for what came next. He slid a folder across the desk, thick with documents. My name was on the front, written in neat, authoritative handwriting. "Emma," he said, pausing carefully, "we've discovered something about your birth records. Something your parents didn't fully realize until recently." My heart hammered. I looked at my parents, who avoided my gaze, their lips pressed tight. You're not the biological child of the Walkers," he continued. The words hung in the air, impossibly heavy. I blinked. My mind reeled. Not my parents? Not my sister? Not my entire life as I knew it? It felt like someone had pulled the rug out from under me. Every memory, every shared laugh, every argument, every childhood competition with Lauren flashed in my mind with a new, twisted edge. Lauren's toast, her words, even the ones who don't belong, suddenly weren't just a joke. They were prophetic. My stomach churned, a mixture of anger, shock, and betrayal flooding me all at once. Then Mr. Henderson handed me the envelope, the very one Lauren had given me at the wedding. My hands trembled as I broke the seal. Inside were adoption papers I had never seen, documents my parents hadn't understood were incomplete, and letters confirming that Lauren had always known, even if I hadn't. The evidence was undeniable. I had been living a life built on assumptions, and the truth had been quietly waiting to strike. My parents' faces were pale, almost ghost-like, and I could see the weight of guilt pressing down on them. Lauren had orchestrated the toast knowing the secret. And as I looked at the papers, realization and heartbreak hit me like a tidal wave. The envelope wasn't a joke. It was a warning, a signal, a cruel revelation wrapped in humor. And suddenly, I understood why Mr. Henderson had called, why my parents had been terrified, and why Lauren's words haunted me so deeply. But the envelope contained one final twist, one piece of information that no one could have predicted, not even Lauren. And as I read it, my heart stopped. This wasn't just about me being the wrong daughter. It was about a secret that could rewrite everything our family thought it knew about itself. I slowly unfolded the last sheet in the envelope, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold it. The documents weren't just confirmation of what I'd feared, that I wasn't Lauren's biological sister. They contained even more: letters from the hospital, adoption records, and even a note from my parents' lawyer explaining a decades-old mix-up. The reality hit me like a punch to the chest. I had grown up believing I belonged in a family that, legally at least, hadn't known I was theirs. And Lauren, she had always known. I looked at my parents. Margaret's eyes were brimming with tears, and Daniel's hands shook. "Emma, we never wanted you to find out this way," my mother whispered. But the truth had a weight that no apology could lift. And then I thought about Lauren, standing at the altar months ago, raising her glass and making a joke that had cut straight to the bone. That joke was no accident. It had been a test, a signal, or maybe even a way to prepare herself for the revelation she had known would come one day. For a long time, I just sat there, staring at the papers, feeling every memory of my life in that family twist under the weight of new meaning. Every birthday, every fight, every hug suddenly felt layered with a truth I hadn't been ready to face. The person I had been, the daughter I thought I was, suddenly felt like a stranger in my own life. And yet, strangely, I also felt a spark of something else: clarity, a way to define myself outside the identity I had been given. It was ironic. All my life, I had felt like the shadow, the one who didn't belong. And Lauren's toast had crystallized it in one sentence. Now, months later, with the envelope finally opened, I realized she was right in a way I could never have imagined. But knowing the truth didn't destroy me. It changed me. It made me see the cracks in my family, yes, but also the way I could rebuild my own story, my own place in the world. So, to everyone out there who's ever felt like the outsider, the overlooked, or the wrong one in your family, sometimes the truth is a shock, sometimes it's a wound, but it can also be a chance to rewrite your life in your own terms. And as for Lauren, our relationship will never be the same, not because of hatred, but because the truth, once revealed, cannot be unseen. If you've ever felt like you were the one who didn't belong, I want to hear your story. Comment below. And remember, some secrets are wrapped in laughter, some in envelopes, but all have the power to change everything.